In case you haven't noticed, it's June, y'all. And you know what that means? Historical presidential felony convictions. I mean, that too, but it's also Pride Month, so we're talking mostly about Pitney's experience of coming out. Now, I'm not generally one for content warnings, but there is definitely language about violence in here, because being out and living authentically in the 1980s was dangerous business. But we promise there are laughs and uplifting stuff too. Welcome to Pitney and Amelia's Bitchin' Boutique.
We may be awful, but we're right.
I can just say it's primarily Pitney, primarily Pitney, primarily Pitney, la 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 la. Primarily Pitney for Pride. Woo! It's June. It's fucking June. Oh, I do have a question I do have a Pride-related question.
Okay.
Only because I saw a thing on the Instagram about how shitty the Target Pride stuff is this year. Why is it so stupid?
It sucks. Last
it looks
year's
like clown
was ugly.
clothes. It's ugly.
Yeah. Last year's was ugly.
Oh, was it?
And it was sort of amazing to me that created the scandal that it did, because I thought it was hideous.
Well, maybe it helped it
And
sell better because people were going in to buy it in solidarity.
I guess, but I remember we had these hideous dresses, and they were in kind of rainbow colors, but muted, weird rainbow colors.
Like pastel?
Striped with white. Yeah, it was so ugly. And we had just these awful dresses. They looked like...
Why are they bothering with dresses? That's just so weird.
They really looked like peasant women from a fantasy movie would wear these dresses. That's what they looked like.
The one I saw for this year...
But they were in these muted stripes. And I saw 2 chicks last year wearing those fucking dresses.
Actually wearing them. Oh my god.
And I'm like, girl, and I went up to one of them and I was just like, oh, I'm so happy to see somebody wearing
the
one
merch.
Of our Pride dresses. And she was like, oh, I know, isn't this so cute? And I did not say a word. Oh, it's so fabulous that you're wearing it.
The main one I remember from last year was the t-shirt that said Live, Laugh, Lesbian.
I love that.
That's so dumb. It's fabulous. But, like, this year, everything is stupid. Like, he showed a nightshirt, like pajamas, and it says on the pocket, it says, tired and gay. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That's just, everything is
stupid. We know some people that are tired and gay, but yeah, we're not.
Well, I know some people whose gayness is tired, and they need to just take a nap.
No, this shit is ugly this year. There is nothing cute.
Yeah.
Nothing fabulous.
Except that little bird. That little bird.
Oh, yeah, but we've never gotten that.
Oh, you never even got it?
We've never gotten it.
Because the guy on Instagram...
Believe me.
The guy on Instagram heard that they were back in stock, and he went to multiple Targets in his town, and he got one, and he got in his car, and he was so excited, and he was showing it, and he didn't realize until he had it in his hands that the little bird is wearing like a green tweed little outfit, and she has like a little scarf around her head and little pink cheeks, and she has a little black bird on her shoulder, and I'm like, oh my god, is she Tippi Hedren? Is she fucking Tippi Hedren from The Birds?
I thought she was just like...
a drag queen, because last year the bird was a drag queen.
I thought she was like gay pride babushka.
But she has a black, like a crow sitting on her shoulder, and she's a bird. So clearly, I think she's Tippi Hedren.
I thought it was like
about that.
A babushka that was a witch. That's what I thought.
Like Baba Yaga?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, she already has the bird feet. Oh Oh my God, Baba Yaga.
But we have not gotten those in at my store because I work.
Because you work for the shipping.
Because I work for a ship from store. Anything that comes in
is gonna get.
I see it.
Right, because even if it hasn't been put on the floor yet, it's in the back.
It may not go out to the floor
because everybody ordered it already.
Because everybody ordered already, which I think is so fucking wrong.
It's so rude. I know.
I can't even really say that because I'll get in trouble with the company. But
well, capitalism.
If it comes
all they care about is if they sell it. They don't care who gets it.
Fuck yeah. If it comes in and it's popular, it gets shipped out before it goes on the fucking floor. And I think that's shitty. But that's enough of that because I don't want to get fired. God.
But yeah, if you do get a shipment of them, you need to set one aside for me because
I will.
Because I need that bird. She needs to be here in my office with me.
I will, and oh my God, I wish I could get like 5 of them, and then we could paint them like.
Well, they have them at Halloween. They do those birds year round. They're just in the seasonal shit.
Oh, I know, but Night the Bird, and then somehow we could do like some sort of like
female trouble characters.
Grandmothers at Chernobyl celebrating their gay kids or something,
I think we could do a Dawn Davenport and a Chicklet and a Conchetta.
I'm not gonna lie. It reminded me of Dawn Davenport when she was on the phone with Earl Peterson.
Yes!
It reminded me of that. I'm pregnant and I want money.
Because she had the little scarf around her head.
Yes, it totally reminded me of that.
God. Oh my God!
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, so you really thought about that too? Because I totally did.
Well, before I figured out the Tippi Hedren thing, I haven't watched The Birds in a long time, but I totally, once I saw the bird on her shoulder, I was like, oh my God, the tweed suit. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, but the scarf.
The scarf is so fucking cute, and her little pink cheeks, and she's so cute. I love her.
Oh, I love it. I just thought, is Earl Peterson there? Earl Peterson, this is Dawn Davenport. You made love to me Christmas morning.
Yes, he did.
God damn it! Nobody remembers that movie.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I hope so.
They just did the Attitudes podcast, their Patreon thing. They just put out a little watch along thing that they do on their Discord server, and they just did a watch along of Female Trouble.
Oh my God! I would have been screaming and like singing along every.
It does kind of make me think. I'll just say this. If you're listening to this and you would watch shitty movies with us, it might be worth us putting together a Discord and having like a movie night once a month.
Oh my God.
But you better fucking show up, people. You just have to let us know. If the audience is there and you promise to show up, and we could watch, horror movies, and we can watch John Waters movies. We can watch Showgirls.
Oh my God.
We can watch Vice Academy.
That Female Trouble, oh my God. I just remember my first boyfriend, Ramon.
Oh, Ramon.
Was so obsessed with Divine, as was I.
Ramon of the hot trunk action.
Oh, we were constantly acting out scenes from Divine movies and being divine to one another. It was fabulous.
That's what boyfriends should do. Be divine to one another.
I would just, it would like be cooking breakfast in the morning, and I'd walk in there in my underpants, and I'd be like, "Harry Krishna, mother."
Residual COVID cough.
Oh my God, I was such a fabulous faggot.
Yes, you were.
And I still am. It's a little more subdued.
Just
believe
walking
it or
around
not,
in your
but-
underpants with a cigarette.
Yes.
God damn it. Where's my breakfast?
That's true.
Well, speaking of back then, it's another one of those episodes where we're going back in time. Back to the 80s. Because it's Pride. So...
It is Pride.
And it's primarily Pitney because Pitney has a story.
Oh, Lord.
Once upon a time, you were a teenager. Weren't we all?
Oh, Lord have mercy. And I was geeky.
Yes.
And I didn't know how to dress. And
well,
my
thank God
hair
your
was
school had a
horrible.
uniform.
And oh my God, I was just, oh no, I dressed cute outside of school.
Okay.
But our goddamn school uniforms. And my mom, for some reason, everything had to be at least 2 sizes too big for me.
So you could grow into it.
So yeah, so I was the geek with the baggy pants.
Oh, but yeah, she didn't know you were.
Topsiders.
She didn't know you were gonna get taller, but never any wider. She had no idea you were gonna be such a string bean.
Oh yeah. I used to be able. I had a 28-inch waist until I was in my mid-20s.
Yes, you did. And God, were you upset when you could no longer get into your 28 waist jeans.
Yes, and I remember the tipping point for me, my fabulous pair of hot pants. I remember they were purple, red, and orange with a black patent leather belt. And I have pictures.
Yep.
I have a picture of me in it with a matching belt. Mm-hmm. Girls size 12.
That's right. From Ross Dress for Less.
And God, did they look fabulous on me. And the best thing about it all, when I worked there, I shoplifted them.
Oh, did you? I never knew that.
Yes,
I mean, I'm not
did.
surprised. But I didn't know that.
I shoplifted
I figured you at least did what I used to do at Mervyn's, where someone would return something, and if it was my size, and I could mark the new price on it because it was returned merchandise, and then I'd get my giant store discount on top of it. So I would just never put it on the floor. I would just mark it, this new price, and then I would buy it myself.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, $35.99. Well, that looks like $10 clearance to me.
That's how I got my rainbow tie-dyed Converse in like 1990. Goddamn right. Those were hard to get. God. And those were boys, I think, size 6. No, they would have been young men size like 7. Because Converse
Oh, God damn it. Those hot pants, when I was working... So, it basically brings me back to when I was working at Ross. And that's when I was dating Ramon. So, he was my first love.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. He was not... He was my third boyfriend.
What? Because when... Okay. I don't want to jump...
First one... I
don't want to jump ahead too far.
Because the first one, the first one boyfriend,
right,
as opposed to encounter, was, and I can say this name because it's not his real name, and he's just way into the ether. But this guy that went by Iggy.
Yeah, I knew about Iggy.
That was my first, serious crush. I really thought something was going to happen, but no.
And he was a guy, he was a Rocky Horror guy.
He was a Rocky Horror guy that I knew from Rocky Horror and from, science fiction fandom, and I was just not cool enough for him, and he was just too bisexual for me. We were fucked up and fucked around one night. When I say we fucked around, it wasn't even really anything, but it was everything to me.
Right.
He was the first person I French kissed.
Ugh.
And to me, it was everything. And to
God,
him,
yes.
he was just like fucked up, and it was like some
Well,
queen. And
he was a little
yeah,
Rocky
he
Horror
never,
man whore back then. So,
yeah, but he never liked me. And I remember running into him years later. I mean, 5 years later. I say years
Right.
later from a young person's perspective, right?
Oh, yeah, that's forever.
At a party.
Yeah.
And he was all wanting to get it on with me. And he was like, you were so much more attractive than you were then.
Well, because you were very young.
And he was totally trying to get it on with me. And I was just like, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
You broke my fucking heart. But it's because he was like cool and punk rock. And I was geeky.
Yeah.
And so there was no, like, you know what I mean.
But I guess when you were in more of your goth phase was when you ran into him?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then it really, really pissed him off because I remember being at that party and I was on a swing set in the backyard. And this Iggy had been trying to get with me all night and I was not having none of it. But this guy Gary that I'd never seen before or since gave me a blowjob in the backyard in front of a whole bunch of people.
On the swing set?
Well, I was on the swing set.
Romantic.
And I was just like, you could have had this bitch.
Now I gotta ask, were your feet on the ground or were you standing up and leaning back with the...
I was sitting on the swing
So
set.
someone was on their knees
and he had pulled down my stretch pants, my black stretch pants.
Of course.
Oh my god, that is so fucking trashy. But how fabulous.
I mean, how many people...
I miss those days.
How many people have, literally swung orally on a swing set?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So obviously, God, I'm trying to think. I was obviously still living in San Jose. I was working at Ross. So I must have been... Oh, no, I remember I was 21 because I'd gotten into a fight with a cop that night.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I was buying alcohol.
Oh.
And the cop was being an asshole because I had weird hair and goth makeup.
Well, and you were a little Queenie thing, and it was like the 80s and early 90s, and...
Yeah, and
everyone was
like,
homophobic.
Yeah, and I remember, fuck you, I'm legal age, fuck you.
Oh my God. You can't do anything to me.
And I showed him my ID, and he was just like, and he was pissed, but I was like, you don't know who my dad is, he'll mess you up.
You did not. Oh my God.
I did say that I did.
Oh my God.
But the fact of the matter is, that's the truth.
Yeah, if you sent your dad after somebody, they would end up in the butcher shop.
That is the truth, but as soon as he saw my ID, he let it drop. That motherfucker, he was just harassing me because my hair was fucked up. But anyway, so yeah, I was 21.
But we have to keep backing up.
Yeah, so I'm just remembering early. So yes.
Because
so Iggy
people
was the
don't
first
know
crush.
people don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is not just going to be a list of sexual encounters. That's the next episode,
no.
and that's when both of us
are
are talking about a list of sexual encounters.
Yeah, so before Iggy was this guy Brian at a Doctor Who convention.
Was that the one with the tube of
and
toothpaste?
that was my first gay encounter.
Tube of toothpaste guy? Or is that someone else?
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
not Brian.
Okay.
But that was my first sexual encounter. And it was at a creation con in San Francisco. There was a Doctor Who guest I cannot save my life.
I wasn't even aware of Creation Cons back then. Wow.
But yeah, it was a Creation Con, and I remember, we were teenagers. There was like 8 people sharing a hotel room, right?
Right.
And I remember it was me and Brian and somebody else that I don't remember on the left side of me. And Brian was in the middle, and I just remember being sort of attracted to Brian.
Like on the floor? Like everyone sleeping?
No, we were in the bed.
Oh, okay.
Because we paid more money, so we were in the
yes.
bed. And I remember it was my senior year, or was it my junior year? Do you remember?
I'm figuring it was probably senior.
Yeah, I think it was
because
senior.
You absolutely were in your junior year when we first met. So I was already in Texas when all this was going on.
Yeah. So anyway, I was attracted to him, and of course we were sleeping next to one another, and so it was sort of like, oh, I'm asleep and my hand is going to be on his chest.
Right.
And oh, I'm asleep, so it's going to go down a little bit.
And then I have the excuse of, oh no, I was asleep. I didn't know where my hand was.
Yeah. Anyway, that carried on, and eventually he took my hand and brought me down to his crotch. Found this rock hard dick, right?
My God.
And I was like, okay, I'm not barking up the wrong tree. So I was 17 and he was 16.
Oh wow, okay.
And anyway, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it doesn't need to go it didn't last long. It doesn't need to go any more than that. We saw each other for maybe a month, but then because we were both so confused, that was both of our coming out. So that was my coming out. When that happened, I was able to finally be like,
okay, this is real.
Guess what, everybody? I'm bi.
Of course.
Even though I knew I was gay.
Right, but bi is easier to explain.
But the thing is, people that don't know, that have not gone through it, all these straight people and, conservatives, oh, it's a choice, and blah, blah, blah. Like, why would any of us make a choice to be beaten up, to be discriminated against? I mean, fuck you. It's not a choice. It is what it is. The ones
who really strongly believe it's a choice are the ones that are bi, and they are choosing to have the heteronormative life and ignore their other side and pretend like it doesn't exist. That's the only way anyone could actually think of it being a choice.
Oh, yeah, because every time a homophobe fucks his wife, when he comes in her, all he's thinking about is how bad he wants some guy to come in his mouth. And I guarantee you I'm right. Because you show me a homophobe and you're a fucking closet queen. You know?
Yeah. There's way more bisexual people. That's one of the reasons why I think the numbers are going up. Not just because there's more acceptance, but I think more people are realizing that, oh, I guess I am technically bi. I mean, I had my own thing with that, but, it's like, oh, I guess all this other stuff, it does count. It's not like it doesn't count because I didn't do something. It was still there. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maddie.
Do you like horror movies?
I sure do.
Well, did you know that most horror movies are inspired by real-life horror?
Really? Like what?
Well, take The Shining, for instance. That's based on Stephen King's real-life addictions, or The Purge, which could be our country any minute now.
Oh, and The Strangers, which is based on a real-life murder. People should be talking about these things.
Hey,
Guys. Oh, hey, Producer Michael.
Hi.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but somebody already is. It's you!
That's right. We are Friday the 13th, the podcast where we talk about horror in real life and horror in media, all from an LGBTQ perspective.
Because we gay, y'all.
We are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come along with us on this crazy journey, and as always,
Get slayed.
But anyway, that was my, after that, I was like empowered.
Yeah,
And I told all my friends, which were like 4 people.
right. How soon?
Because I had no friends.
How soon did you tell me?
I think I told you after I met Iggy, which was
Right,
just
because you
very, very soon after that, like a couple months.
right, because you mentioned Iggy at that time, but
yeah.
so that's
But
why I
just
always
remember,
thought Iggy
yeah,
was
I
the
was-
first one, but
I was so empowered, and I was like, oh my god, I touched a dick. And I had another guy touch my dick.
right.
And oh my god, I held another guy's hand in the dark in the video room of a Doctor Who convention.
So exciting.
And it was really cool, right? And I
Ooh, was he
like,
dressed as Turlo?
No, he was just a geek, just
Oh, it would have been so
like me.
hot
And we
if he
didn't
looked
talk
like
to each other
Turlo.
quite a time after, but we became friends after that.
Right.
I mean, we became friends after. I mean, it's fine. Anyway, but previous to that point, I mean, I always knew that I was
Yeah.
gay. But knowing...
I mean, if Donny Osmond and Sean Cassidy didn't teach that to you.
Oh my god, my first remembered masturbation fantasy was John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
And I'm young. I was young. That tells you.
Those
but
were
anyway,
tight pants.
Yeah, that's
That
not
that was an
important, but
era of extremely tight pants.
What is important is that I always knew, but knowing and accepting
Oh,
and acknowledging and coming out are 4 completely different things.
oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I knew I could not accept, I definitely could not acknowledge.
No.
Because I had all this Christian bullshit going on, not only with my Catholic upbringing, but I didn't think, I mean, we're not going to go into this. But remember, I didn't think Catholic was religious enough for me, so I went to an evangelical
Oh,
church.
yes. Oh, yes. And that
And
was
then-
when that was the year you and I met. Like, you were going
Yeah.
to Catholic school, going to mass every day, and going to an evangelical non-denominational church at night.
Yeah.
Like, no one,
Fucking psychos.
the Pope wasn't as religious as you.
Fucking psychos.
Yeah. And he went to the beach with them.
Yeah, and because I was like into, science fiction, Rocky Horror, Kiss, heavy metal. Oh my god, everything that I liked was satanic and evil, and I got to the point where it's like, okay, fuck you people, because no.
Right.
Because I knew that I was gay, I still couldn't acknowledge
Right.
it. So when me and Brian...
Although I should
but
say, this is a good point to say, because when you're talking about the church thing, if it were possible to pray gay away, you would have done it. Because no one prayed harder than you at that time.
No, I did never. You know what the funny thing is? What I used to pray for, this is no fucking joke. I never tried to pray the gay away.
Oh.
What I used to pray for was, oh Lord, I know that people are saying this is so wrong and so horrible, but I am so in love with Jerry, blah, 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 blah. Please, I'll do anything for me to be able to be with him. Please, God, because I'm so in love with him, and I know this can't be wrong. That was my prince.
Oh, I swear I thought you told me that you were begging to not be gay anymore.
No, I mean, that came later.
Oh, okay. I thought it was during the evangelical period.
No, but I prayed for,
Oh, if only. Oh, it actually might be right here.
Really? Which is really weird, right?
Of course. Your senior picture from high school where you wrote on the back, when you signed it, you wrote "God bless you."
God bless you, the Lord. Well, I still might write that in something, depending. You know, it's like I give money to homeless people sometimes, and I say, God bless you. But that's just me. Do you not?
No. Oh no! You told me. You said,
just...
"May God always be with me." That's what you.
Yeah.
said.
But that's my no. I'll give people money, homeless people money, and I'll say, God bless you, or that's just me, though.
Yeah,
you
but
know what I mean?
it would feel. I mean, we're gonna go into religion stuff in a completely different episode. It would feel incredibly fake for me to say God bless you to somebody.
Oh, that's true, but not for me.
No, I know. I'm not saying for you. I'm saying that I don't say it.
Yeah.
Because it would be really fucking phony if I said it.
We cannot get into the religion of it.
Not in this episode.
Yeah, but anyway, I will say one thing. Fuck you, Bethel Church.
Mm-hmm.
Eat shit, the Assembly of God. And fuck you, Pastor Scott Hagen.
Oh, was he the youth pastor? Was he the one with all the Motley Crue posters in his office?
This motherfucker with the Motley Crue posters in his office to say how demonic it was. Yeah, fuck you, Pastor Scott Hagen. Anyway, so there we go. Enough of that.
Oh my god.
But anyway, so I was talking about Brian and how it led into Iggy. Oh, so when I first touched a dick, Brian.
Right.
I was empowered, and it wasn't even like, I'm going to come out.
Right.
But I did. I told, because I was excited.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I was telling, the 4 friends that I had at school, oh my God, I met somebody. And oh my God, and they were like, oh my God, really who? And I was like, oh, it's a guy named Brian. And I met him at the Doctor Who convention, and they were like, everybody was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And it was either like, 1, they didn't give a shit, or 2,
they weren't surprised.
They knew. They weren't surprised. And this was in 85.
Yeah.
Maybe 84.
I mean, if it was 84, it would be the very end of 84.
It was 84 or 85. But these are really fucking homophobic times.
Right.
Right.
Of course.
And everybody that I knew was like, oh, and everybody from the Doctor Who club was just like, whatever.
Right.
I knew that. I know.
Because fandom used to be
Who
a safe
cares?
place because mundanes weren't in there.
Yeah. But I still lied, and I knew that it was a lie, and said that I was bi.
Right.
I still could not say that I was gay.
Because it was more that you were saying, I met a guy and I really like him, as opposed to saying, this is my identity. Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew. And like I said before, I'll say it again, like I just said 10 minutes ago, it's a big difference between saying you're gay and knowing you're gay and accepting you're gay. Saying you're gay is a big fucking difference.
Oh, yeah. Saying something out loud for the first time, like to another person, is nuts. Because you can't undo that. Like, that's... Yeah.
But then when I did, it was just like, hell yeah, fuck you, all the assholes that were mean to me and called me a faggot. Yeah, I'm a faggot. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like this empowering, just like, fuck you. Call me a faggot and I'll spit in your face and put on a pair of pink panties, motherfucker. You know, that's how I was.
Right.
I was angry and very, very angry because I had been so bullied my whole fucking life.
Yep.
And when I finally came out and was able to own it, like, I was angry.
Yeah.
Like, I think I told this story on the podcast before, and I'm not proud for punching a woman.
Oh, I don't think I know this story.
This fucking cunt skinhead chick. Do you remember those stupid skinhead bitches in the 80s that had those ugly haircuts where they called the fringe?
Oh, where they only had bangs?
Everything was shaved but the bangs. Yeah, she was one of these
it was
bitches.
like how the worst person in the world with his stupid roach antenna hair. It was very much like that.
She was one of those bitches. And I remember I was at a party. And I had, you know, and we were all like trading off putting cassettes on.
Right.
Isn't that funny? Not records, not CDs, but cassettes.
Cassettes.
And she was just complaining. I hated her anyway. And I was like, what, is this not punk rock enough for you? And she said, you fucking faggot, I hope you die and get AIDS.
Of course she did.
And I punched her in the fucking face and called her a cunt.
Oh, yay.
And you know what? I do not regret that at all.
I wouldn't. I'd be thrilled. Oh, my God.
I do not regret that
I
at all.
regret a lot of people
But-
I didn't punch. Because
but
I wanted to punch people.
at the time, that is unthinkable for somebody to say that to somebody at a party now.
Oh, yeah. People now wouldn't understand it.
But at the time, that was the fucking norm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I remember being at, like, goth shows and punk shows and clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, like, the gay safe crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And there was, like, the other crowd that was, like, you know, quote-unquote, the skinheads, the punks.
Right.
The ska people. The ska people were the fucking worst. Because that was all the white supremacist Nazi
It's so
people.
weird how ska really
Yeah.
attracted that shit. Ugh.
And there would always be squabbles. And when I got involved in that community, you know, there was always these, like, squabbles. And I mean, I was just like, fuck you, asshole, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. And I never got into a fist fight after that.
Yeah.
But I was like, because I was angry, I was pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was rebellious in combination of dealing with the homophobia at home that I dealt with from my dad, not from my mom. Let's make that clear. Not from my mother, from my fucking asshole father.
Yeah.
I was an angry fucking queen.
Well, and it all needed to go somewhere.
Yeah. And so my coming out was rebellious, it was angry, and it was fucking balls to the wall.
Okay.
Like, I would dress in drag, and I would just do all, like, outrageous on purpose just to fuck with people, just so they would fuck with me so I could tell them to fuck off.
But that was after
That was why I did
That was
it.
after you were out of high school, though, right? That part?
Like the year after,
Right,
yeah.
right. Because when you came out to me, you were still in school.
I was still in school, yeah. But even in school, at that point, I was just like, Miss Mary, fuck you. You know?
Right. But
but after
because
that,
I know how it went when you came out to me, I'm wondering if because you couldn't see me, because we were on the phone, if that was why you didn't know that I was okay.
Yeah, because I didn't know. Because consider the time.
Well, I know, but also...
Everyone was homophobic
But
back
everyone
then.
else that you told reacted just fine.
Yeah, but I remember being really scared that what you were going to think. I remember that.
And I couldn't
And I
say
called
anything.
you. I was on the payphone from my high school.
Right. I know. And I was on the phone in the kitchen right next to the dinner table where my entire family was. And I shouldn't have taken a call during dinner anyway, and they were all like being silent and why is she taking a phone call?
But I
right now?
remember you were saying, right? And did you suck his cock?
Absolutely not. I would have never. Because all I did was kind of go, okay, yeah, okay. And I couldn't really say anything else.
Yeah.
In front of my
But what
family.
did you think? Did you care?
No.
What did you think?
I was
Did you know?
Yes.
Yeah, well, of
Dude.
course. How could anybody not
And
know? I mean, come on.
When you can look at pictures of you when you were like 3, and you can see it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
dude. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Bitchin' Boutique.
Yes.
I think we need to give them a thing, Spike. We can give them a drop that they could plan out their
Yes,
show.
I think we've got to find some time and get
I
time
think
to
we should
do
it
that.
right now. I think we should do it right now. Look, I'll show you how easy it is, Spike. Watch this. I'm just going to do it live.
Okay, do it live.
Like that bloke screams. I'm just going to do it live. Watch this. Hi, this is Dr. Dan from the Two Skeptical... I can't do it now. Look, I can't speak. Too much pressure. I'll try again. Take 52. Hi, this is Dr. Dan from the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast, and you are listening to the most bitchin' boutique. See? That was easy, wasn't it?
Okay.
They could send us one, we could play it as. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Right, you do it.
Yeah.
Right, off
What do
go.
you want me to say?
Whatever comes to mind.
Hi, this is Spike from the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast, who ain't no bitch, but you're listening to the Bitchin' Boutique.
Oh, that was good. I hope they use that. Let's see if they cut it and put it in their next show.
Diplomatic community.
Because every time you would make some kind of... I mean, you and I had already, before I moved, you and I had already talked about how we would just get married someday and you know, outfit
Yeah,
our
I
apartment,
remember.
whatever. But the thing was that it was because we were both so... I can't do all this. Like, all the expectations of what there were on us, we were both just like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with anything that people are expecting of me.
I remember that. Yeah, there was no eroticism, but it was just like that. It was. Yeah, I remember that. I really do.
And it was like, because with me, I just wasn't interested in anybody. I mean, except for like, you know, Tim Curry and Boy George. I wasn't interested in anyone because it was gonna be a while. Because because I hit puberty too young. And I got the weird, creepy looks from people when I was fucking 11 years old. Yeah. And my body was betraying me. And...
Oh, that's right, because you started getting the bazookas.
I had, like, B-cup boobs when I was 11.
Yeah.
And I was wearing little undershirts like a little girl, and my mom had to force me to wear a bra, and I didn't want to because I didn't want to be grown up. And my period started, and my boobs were big. And by the time I met you, oh Lord, I mean, I didn't want to have anything to do with anybody. I mean, being awkward as was bad enough, but being like awkward and blonde with big tits.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
And if I'd had any sense of what I looked like back then, because I had so much dysmorphia about my face and my body and everything, that I thought I was absolutely just hideous and ugly, and that no one would have wanted me anyway. Even though people were being creepy to me. So I just,
But that's so crazy because you were blonde and you were gorgeous and you had big tits. So you were the total opposite of what you thought.
I had
people
no
thought of
reason
you.
to think I was attractive
You know.
because no one
I
ever
know.
told me I was.
I know,
Ever.
but it's funny that you were thinking you were the total opposite of what you were.
When you're growing up around people that are constantly being told how pretty they are, and no one says anything to you. Yeah, there's no way I thought for a second that anyone was ever going to look at me. And when you have a father that tells you, well, maybe if you lost 20 pounds and maybe if you, who would like leave me books about how to do my hair and makeup and shit, because clearly I wasn't acceptable.
God.
I was not acceptable as I was. So it was going to be a very long time before I felt comfortable.
There's nothing unhealthy than like a goddamn parent.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so funny that you say that because I remember, like, because I was so bullied in school.
Yeah.
I mean, from, like, the 3rd grade all the way to through high school,
Because you were a queenie little thing.
I thought I was ugly, and I was geeky, and I was hideous, and blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because I look at pictures now of me from back then.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, my God, I was really cute.
Yeah, it makes me so angry when I look at pictures of myself. Like, when I was in college, there's a picture, I have a picture of me standing next to my sister. We are the exact same size, but I was hugely fat and she was incredibly skinny, but we're the exact same size. And it makes me so mad.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God, I was so cute. I was so hot. And Ramon, and that was different when I was first coming out, right? But because I was so insecure, I always got with these guys that were like crazy, obsessive, blah, 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 blah,
If
blah.
they wanted you, you'd have sex with them. Yes.
Because I thought I was too ugly to be with other guys.
And when you're in the middle of it, you're not thinking about it like that, but you're just totally being a whore because, well, at least if I'm having sex, I can convince myself I look okay.
Yeah, to friends now, I mean, people that I'm friends with now that knew me back then that are, gay men. And they were like, oh, I totally would have dated you back then, that I didn't think you were interested. Yeah. And I was like, well, I totally would have dated you back then, but I didn't think you would possibly be interested. Right. It's really fucked up how all of that bullying really, and I think that is a lot. We're going out of the scope of the...
But it's true for a lot of people,
topic,
and it relates to
but
coming
I
out.
think it's valid because to me, and this definitely has personal repercussions for me when I'm going to say that insecurity, not knowing that, what I was just talking about, really plays into this sense, and it goes towards sexual inappropriate behavior and sexual addiction, promiscuity, and drug addiction and alcoholism, and which I have had all of.
Right. Yep, me too.
And do you know why? Because I was so fucking bullied and I did not realize that I was attractive. And I know that's simplifying
it has to do with, like, self-worth. Like, if I'm not worthy of the person I'm putting on the pedestal, I'm going to go fuck that guy. Go fuck that troll under the bridge. Yes.
And I blame all these Christian motherfucking kids that I went to junior high and high school with that bullied me. Mm-hmm. And I know that's stupid because you're supposed to rise above.
No, you're not. You're not. They're assholes.
Yeah, I mean, I have rose above it in some level, in my life. But they're fucking assholes. And why am I in years of therapy because of you, John Barnes. That's why I'm in years of therapy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
But coming out, I had that anger, but the low, for that time in my life, the low self-esteem and all that shit, it just went, it went fucking away.
Oh, yeah, because anger just takes over everything. And anger, you can get a lot of shit done with anger.
Because when I came out and I realized how many people supported me and didn't give a fuck, and how many people loved me, and the more outrageous I was, they loved me more.
Right.
My anger grew.
Right.
But at the same time, my angst lessened. But that anger is not a good place to be in.
No.
But that is what happened.
Some of us are still, like, you know, those of us who identify very strongly with the Hulk, because the anger is still in there all the time. And the only emotion I can pull up in a heartbeat is furious anger and rage.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else is like degrees of rage.
Yeah, because to this day, if someone calls me a faggot...
Being disguised as something else.
If somebody calls me a faggot, I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're a 12-year-old boy, a 20-year-old gang member, or a 90-year-old woman. They're going to get punched in the fucking face if they call me a faggot.
And they deserve it.
All that anger that was held up, and when I was finally able to come out, it was released in such a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending... You know what? That's bullshit. I'm lying. No, I am defending that behavior.
Because it was a self-defense thing.
I am defending that behavior. We're supposed to be like, oh, blah, 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 but no, I'm defending that behavior. If someone calls you a faggot, punch them in the fucking face. I'm totally defending that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I've never punched anyone in the face, and there's so many people who've deserved it in my life.
Totally.
I punched a girl in the shoulder in junior high.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I had to run to this lesbian, to this little lesbian who sat behind me in health class, to get her on my side. So in case that popular girl and her friends came for me, Irene was gonna take care of it. I knew I could always count on a lesbian.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know she was a lesbian, but I knew she was a lesbian. Yeah. I wonder where she is. I loved her.
But anyway, at that same time, this bitch...
As you punched that bitch?
Yeah,
yes, okay.
That bitch.
That bitch. We've known so many that bitches.
She was the boyfriend of some asshole who I don't remember the name of it. He was like one of like the skate punk guys. And there was this gang of these skate...
Who are often hot, but really
they were all hot,
awful.
but they were all fucking assholes.
I know.
There was this gang,
like
of like skate punk guys that would hang out at Westgate Mall where I worked at the Ross Dress for Less.
Okay.
And there was this one asshole that was a member of that gang named I hope he's a felon now, and I hope he's on death row, because he's an asshole. He would literally come to the store. He would spit on me.
Oh, God.
He would literally get so worked up. He would come up to me, and he'd be like, so worked up and angry, he'd be shaking. He'd be like, you were such a faggot, and I want to kill you, and I just want to, like, stomp you until you're just a bloody pulp, and fuck you. God. I mean, he would get so worked up.
And he would do this while you were at work.
While I was at work. And I guarantee you that asshole went home every night and jacked off thinking about me. Because
Yes,
why else would
100%.
that asshole be anyway?
How did you know his name?
Because he was a member of, like, you know, the punk goth.
So you knew some of the other guys.
Yeah, he was a
and
member of that subculture in San Jose at the time.
Oh,
you
God.
know?
Ugh.
Fucking asshole. But anyway, that was what part of coming out in the 80s was. You had to deal with that shit.
Oh yeah.
You know,
If you even were perceived to be a little ferryman,
yeah, and
they were gonna come for
and
you.
let's just say go up 2 years, 1989 from this. Another skate punk asshole named
is this the...
Steve. I don't know what he's doing now. I hope he's in jail for life. Another skate punk asshole, like I said, at the Blue Lagoon Bar in Santa Cruz, tried to pick me up to the point where, like, we were grabbing each other's crotch and I was feeling his hard dick, right? So I was like, okay, this guy is garbage, but I'm totally going to take him home and have some fun. That's totally what I thought, right? We left the bar, we ran down the corner. All of a sudden, I was on the floor. He was punching me. He was kicking me. He told me, don't take this personal. We're just going to get some faggot tonight, and you're the one we chose.
And this was after making out with you.
Yes. And okay, so this was happening, and on the intersection, there was this other asshole who was walking back and forth to keep people from going down the block because they were trying to rob me also, which I had nothing. I was like, you know, a 22-year-old college student. I had fucking nothing.
College, yeah,
right?
a broke college student, yeah.
And I remember his dick was hard, and he was rubbing it through his jeans, and he was like, well, why don't you just suck me off right now, and I'll just let you go.
Right.
Fucking asshole. Anyway, long story short, they threatened me, don't you dare call the police, blah, 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 all that kind of shit, right?
Right.
I called the police. That asshole went to jail. And do you remember when I moved in with you?
And you found out that he was getting out of jail or something?
got a phone call from the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office that they were, because he had done it again.
Right.
And they were going to put this motherfucker away again. They wanted me to come testify. I never did have to go because I guess he pled guilty.
Yeah.
But that was the cost of coming out in the 80s.
And even though there's still plenty of shit to be afraid of and people who have terrible families and whatever, it is better, but individual cases may vary.
But I'm saying now that's the cost of coming out. But you know what? I'm not going to say I want to go through that again. It was very traumatic. And I had nightmares, and I couldn't sleep, and it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But if that's the price I have to pay for being authentic, and, you know, the fact that there was a jury that convicted this motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
That was 12
that.
people that were like, oh, yeah, maybe that's not cool. But to me, I mean, it was horrible, but coming out was worth it. And especially now, things are so fucked up. Things are going back to as bad as they were in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And people think, oh, the 80s were so liberal because we had Boy George and Duran Duran and everybody.
There was nothing liberal
all
about
the
it.
pop stars looked like faggots. And yes, they did look like faggots, and most of them were
But it wasn't okay.
But it was
wasn't
not
an
okay.
okay thing.
The 80s were a homophobic piece of shit fucking decade. And we had the AIDS epidemic, which did not garner sympathy towards gay people.
Right.
It made hate towards gay people all the fucking more.
Oh, yeah, because all it takes, it's kind of like the same people who, you know, are afraid to get a vaccination because they don't trust things. But those are the same kind of people who, with no reason to believe it, would think that just being in the same room with a gay person meant you were gonna have AIDS.
Oh, yeah, and we can't go into detail of this, but that fucking cunt cousin of mine, Tammy, who kicked me out of her mother's house and would not go into the pool with me at a family gathering because I would give the baby AIDS. Because that is how fucking ignorant she was. And that is why coming out is so fucking important. To show people like that they're fucking wrong.
And when you first lived out here and my nephew was like a toddler, and I think my sister was still living with my parents and her stupid husband and the kid at the time, and we were playing with the kid, and the kid just thought you were awesome. You know,
Oh God, I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember my dad? You don't remember the when I had to tell my mom to tell my dad I wasn't coming back over to the house anymore?
I do remember that, but I don't remember what made that happen.
Because my dad didn't want you anywhere near the kid.
Oh, of course, because I'm going to give the baby AIDS.
Exactly. And it was the first time he'd ever said something like that. And my mom was so fucking pissed.
I remember that, but I don't think I remembered what made it happen. Yeah.
But do you remember when Dad tried to make it up to me? Do you remember what that was? Okay, so I should tell the story. So my
the
dad,
fabulous Steve came to the house
with you and the fabulous Steve.
I do remember that, and I was just like, okay, what the fuck is happening?
I fucking doubled down. That's what I did, because my dad was under the impression that he was super liberal and he was super progressive and all this shit, and on some things he was. But he was a homophobic piece of shit. He was homophobic, he was transphobic, he was all of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Dad pulled that shit, and I told Mom, like, we basically got the fuck out of the house, and we left. And the next morning, I called my mom and said, I'd like you to tell Dad that I'm not coming over to the house anymore. Like, for anything. And she called me later to say, oh, I told him. And he's really upset. And I'm like, well, good. Because it's fucking unacceptable. You know, you don't have someone over to your house and then act like that. You know? And so when I was willing to have a conversation with him again, he was just like, just trying to pull some bullshit, like whatever kinds of excuses that people will have about not liking certain things or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what your problem is, Dad. Seriously. I said, is the idea that you think you're so goddamn irresistible that there are guys out there who can't control themselves around you? Is that what you think? Yes, I did! I said, what exactly? What problem do you actually have
Oh my fucking
with
God.
another person who might occasionally have a relationship with someone else who isn't you, and it has nothing to fucking do with you? And exactly how do you factor into that where you think you get to have a fucking opinion about it? And in what way are you threatened? In what way is the fucking valedictorian threatened? Or her child? No one is threatened by the presence of another person who is not behaving in a threatening manner.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, and then he tried to turn it into a thing where you were smoking around the kid. And I'm like, yeah, and so was Mom.
I was just gonna say, I was smoking with your mom.
With my mother.
I remember that, yes.
And I was so fucking mad.
Oh,
and
okay, now that you say that, I remembered the scandal. Yeah, I do remember that about the smoking, because I was smoking with your mom, and your dad had gotten snotty with me about smoking in the house. And I was
but that
like,
was just one tier of anger.
I was
at that
told
point.
that I could, or I would
because
have
Mom smoked
never
in the
done
house
this.
at that time. Yeah, because by the time Feely and Elle came along, Mom wasn't smoking inside the house anymore. She was smoking in the garage.
That's right. I remember that now, because I remember that. I was specifically told by your mother that I could smoke in the house.
And you guys were smoking.
Because I would have never lit up in the house.
Just lit up in someone's
Never.
house. Exactly. And so it started there, but then there was other, the valedictorian, grabbing the kid's arm and pulling him away from you and all kinds of shit.
It was homophobia.
Of course it was.
It was homophobia.
Because everyone in my family who isn't my mother is horrible.
Yeah, it was homophobia. Yeah, yeah.
And I told Dad that I don't feel welcome or comfortable around people who can't fucking behave themselves. Yeah. I said, I don't care who you like or who you don't like. As all the shit I had to put up with when I was a kid, and I just behaved myself and didn't make a scene and didn't act like an asshole because it was unacceptable. You don't embarrass the family. You don't make a scene. And then Dad and the valedictorian were being assholes. So I told him flat out that I'm not coming over anymore. I was like, you're just not gonna see me again. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what do I have to do to make it up to you? Well, the Fabulous Steve was soon going to be coming out for a visit.
Right. Yeah, okay.
So I decided that a good way that he could make it up to me would be to demonstrate to me that he was capable of being civil and accepting around the homosexuals. Mm-hmm. So not only did I tell them to have you over for dinner, but we brought the Fabulous Steve. And people who've listened to our show for a long time know who the Fabulous Steve is. And if you don't, just go back through all the queer episodes, because we had Steve on multiple times talking about what it was like being gay in San Francisco.
Yeah,
in
just
the 70s
imagine the stereotypical 70s queen, and there you go.
Hairdresser.
Fabulous.
Fabulous hairdresser, gay pride parade guy. So, yeah. So, and there were two main things I remember about the way. I don't think my sisters were around. I think it may have just been my parents.
I don't remember.
There was one point where you and me and Mom were like talking in the kitchen, and then Mom goes, "Where's your father?" And I was like kind of sneaking around, looking around, and I realized Dad had taken him upstairs because I had all my high school art and shit all along that hallway upstairs.
Yes.
And in the bedroom and in the spare bedroom, I had all my art was all over their house still.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yep.
And it still is. Most of it's still all over that fucking house. I don't know what I'm going to do with it later when Dad's gone. But my dad was showing Steve all my art.
Yep.
And when Steve was down with Mom, all I can remember was they were talking about like Judy Garland albums and old film noir my mom would have loved to have Steve over every week.
Oh, I know.
She would have loved that. But, you know, even people who seem to be very nice could be fucking horrible, horrible people when given the opportunity to show their true colors. And I'm telling that story in part because he stopped being that way. I mean, he was homophobic and transphobic and everything else.
Yeah.
And over time, he became, I mean, this is going to sound like a really weird example, but it was such a high profile thing that he would know about it. When Caitlyn Jenner appeared as Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
And was like on the cover of a magazine or something, or did some photo spread. And my dad was like, looking good. My dad was so proud of Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, she's an asshole.
Yes.
But he was very, very accepting of that. And this is also the same guy who sometime within the last year had like a 90-minute conversation with me, the longest conversation we've ever had in my entire fucking life. And because out of the blue, he was just asking me questions about, well, what is gender reaffirming therapy, and what is all this stuff in the news that I'm hearing about? And I just taught him. I showed him videos of Jamie Raines, who's like a trans guy who's been a YouTuber since he was a teenager, and showed his entire journey on. I got one of his montage videos that shows from the very first injection with testosterone he ever had to like when he got top surgery, when he got bottom surgery, when he finally started getting facial hair. And my dad got to watch how just hormones completely changes a body. And because he didn't understand that it's not, everything isn't about surgery. Everything, sometimes it's just, let me present the way I want to present. Let me dress the way I want to dress. And that's for everyone.
But your dad has always been friendly with your friend, my ex-friend, Lorena.
Not always. Not behind her back.
Oh, really?
Oh, believe me. When I say Dad was transphobic, I fucking mean it.
Oh, okay. But he came to terms with Lorena.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I had to have, I mean, it was not all one event.
Okay.
It was multiple events.
Lorena!
Where I had to tell my dad that it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know?
Okay.
And I'm telling that because I'm saying, you can, if a person is basically a good person, but they're still being a transphobe or a homophobe or whatever, it is possible. Now there's some people who are really, really fucking horrible and turn all the way around. That fascinates me, because I can't imagine having to turn all of my opinions around.
Yeah.
But it is possible. And I'm not saying, give them 10,000 chances. If they're hurting you, get the fuck away from them. But if you're strong enough, get you or get someone else to get in their face and tell them to stop being an asshole.
Yeah.
Because some people will respond to that. if they think they're going to lose their child. You know. Because he wasn't, worrying about losing you. He was worrying about losing me. And he just never really understood. It's like, when you're rude to other people, you're being rude to me. When you're talking about how horrible other people are, you're talking about me.
That was 20 years ago, and he still doesn't like me.
I mean, it's fine.
I remember when your mom died, when I was at the funeral.
Yeah.
And it was just like my natural impulse. I went to hug him, and he freaked the fuck out.
Well, I wasn't around.
He stiffened and was like, okay. And
I mean, he's not a huggy guy.
Yeah, but he
fist bumps
liked me. But you know what? I like him. I do. I have like for him. I have concern for him. I will say, in a way, I have love for him because
you might like him more than I do.
He's been a part of my life for so fucking long.
I know.
But all I gotta say
I mean, I like my dad better than I like your dad.
Oh, well.
Your dad's rotten in hell right now.
Oh my God, I like Donald Trump better than I like my dad. Fuck. Or God, they could be the same fucking person.
I was just gonna say.
They could be the same fucking person.
In some ways, man.
But anyway, in closing, I just got one thing to say.
All right.
And that is, even if you get negative reactions from friends of friends, from your families, blah, 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 whatever. It's very important to come out and be honest about yourself. And not
find your real family.
Fucking hide it. Because, well, yes, to find your real family for your own self. But that's not even where I was going here. Because, yeah, totally valid, right? But that's not where I was going. It was like, people will understand, oh, I like this person. But, oh my God, she's a lesbian. Or, oh my God, I thought that, Shandy was Sean. Right. And oh my God, but I really like, you know what I mean?
Or when, my favorite is when people say, it's just when I think about you having sex with another man, it just makes me sick. Well, what the fuck are you thinking about that for?
Don't think about that. Just think about...
Don't think about other people having sex.
How much you like the person. Be out. Be honest. And that will change people's minds. It really will.
Yeah.
It does.
Especially if they knew you first and they loved you first. Then they'll go, oh, I guess I can't, because they don't know they know queer people until you make sure they know they know.
Yeah, and people. I mean, it sucks. You may get beaten up, and I told you the story,
Yeah.
But that's not the only time.
Oh, yeah.
But I was just like, fuck you. I'm this big old faggot, and this is me, and eat shit. And you gotta be like that. You have to be like, eat shit. Because it's you.
Be prepared to defend yourself, because you are awesome.
It's fucking you. And you're authentic. And eat shit to anybody that doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm. And I will say one thing about...
God damn it. And I'm going to start to cry. God damn it.
People who don't... I'll talk then. People who don't like it when other people live their authentic lives and are their authentic selves, those people live miserable heterosexual lives.
Yes.
And I've always said, if you have to work a little bit harder to find the people who fit with you, that's because the more interesting people, the better people we have like jagged, bumpy edges, and it's kind of hard to get a puzzle piece that fits exactly right with another jagged, bumpy person. Beige, smooth-brained, boring-ass people, they're really easy to pair up with each other. That's why when you think back to high school, all those awful people that were, like, popular, and they were, like, they all interdated each other because they would only date people that was in their little group. And it's like, if the best year of your life is in high school, the rest of your life is awful. So those of us who had a kind of lousy time in school, because we're still figuring out where all of our edges are and where all the good bumpy bits are, and then we find the other people who have good bumpy bits just like us, and we form like a stone castle, like a completely fortified wall that no one can knock down. While those people are made of trash bags. Those people are made of boring beige trash bags, and they are nothing, and we are everything. And eventually, once you have your people around you and you have your fortified wall and you're surrounded by all the love of all the people who love you, all those other people, it's real easy to forget they exist.
And they can all eat shit.
Eat shit. Happy Pride. Happy June, everyone.
Happy Pride.
Be sure and come back next episode where we're going to talk about all the dicks we regret.
Oh, Lord. I may have to make some notes.
Oh, God. All my dicks were crammed into a very short period of time. I was really a whore. No, I was a slut. My roommate was a whore. I was a slut. It was not transactional.
I've been cheap my whole life, and I love it. And I got lots of stories.
I'm a thief and a shit kicker. And I want to be famous. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy our show, please take a moment to rate and review us wherever you listen.
If you send us a screenshot of your review, we'll send you a Bitchin' Boutique sticker.
Everyone loves stickers. Please subscribe or add us to your favorites wherever you get your podcasts.
Subscribers get new episodes first and are also more attractive.
Drop us a line anytime at PitneyAndAmelia@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you. Because I could use it for gaming as well.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I'm sorry. I did that.
I heard it.
My gay thing. I'm going to do it again. My gay thing. Because you can just see me, right? You can just see me.
Well, of course I can. But you can do it from the shoulder. You don't have to do it from the knee.
Yeah,
do it from the shoulder. Jazz hands.